The Cerritos crew get caught up in a conspiracy on Deep Space Nine while Mariner struggles in a new social circle in Star Trek Lower Decks' 3rd season, 6th episode, Hear All, Trust Nothing. Before I go any further, please note this review may contain spoilers, so if you've not yet seen Lower Decks, specifically this episode, this might not be the video for you. Let's warp into this. With the Cerritos unexpectedly reassigned to Deep Space Nine on a diplomatic duty, the crew take time to enjoy their stay on the iconic station. While Boimler's newfound bold approach brings success at the Dabo table, Tendi has less fun when she encounters a brash Orion ensign who, unlike her, appears comfortable with their race's reputation. Meanwhile, back on the Cerritos, Mariner, eager to shake off her rebellious reputation, struggles to fit in with Jennifer's friends, but things soon take a turn for everyone when shady shenanigans on the station come to light. Hear All, Trust Nothing is fine. It's an undemanding episode featuring a series of thinly plotted adventures with nostalgia and some shameless fan service firmly front and center. As a longtime fan, this love letter to Deep Space Nine was undeniably fun, but I also couldn't help but feel that its inclusion was an attempt to distract from the episode's weaker aspects. Like many fans, Deep Space Nine holds a special place in my heart. It's not my favourite Trek show, that accolade belongs to the next generation, as it probably always will, but I do think it's the best by quite a margin in terms of how it was made, its commitment to rich storytelling and universe building, and general consistency. I love that Lower Decks can play in such a rich sandbox and revisit Golden Era Trek's locations of interest. The show does a wonderful job recreating the famous sets, including the promenade, ops, and the wardroom with such intense attention to detail that it could have only been made by passionate fans. The writing of the episode also reflects this to an extent with the inclusion of Quark's subplot involving the Karema, which essentially makes this episode the unofficial sequel to Deep Space Nine's 4th season episode, Starship Down. This wonderful deep-cut reference is a reminder of how great Lower Decks can be when revisiting things we've seen previously, but doing so in a way that adds new dimensions to the universe. It's fan service, yes, but it's that good kind of fan service that enriches and feels like something that took at least some level of effort to research and include. In sharp contrast to this was the rest of the episode's incessant need to name drop and call out practically everything that made us love Deep Space Nine in the first place. This was most evident in Rutherford's early scenes where the ensign would excitedly yell out everything he saw, painfully obvious references delivered with an overly caffeinated enthusiasm that got old almost immediately. We get it, Lower Decks. You love Deep Space Nine. It's this kind of on-the-nose fan service that sours me on the concept of returning to the familiar. That and the fact that this heavy reliance on nostalgia forms a powerful shield around the episode that seems to make it impervious to criticism. I love Deep Space Nine, but this love, combined with an unavoidable romanticism for anything non-contemporary, doesn't make this episode a great one, no matter how hard the show tries to convince otherwise. In fact, the actual content under the alluring veneer of Terak Nor is rather unremarkable. Of course, there's some good stuff here. It's great to see Tendi get more time in development, even if that development is a retread of the character's desire to escape the Orion pirate stereotype we saw back in Season 1's excellent Crisis Point. The introduction of Mesk, the overly enthusiastic and proud Orion, who turns out to be from Cincinnati, was a great addition, paired nicely with the points the episode was trying to make about identity, even if it was delivered with all the complexity of a show for infants rather than something more suited to its key demographic. Unfortunately, Mariner's plot was once again the weakest aspect of the episode. While the inclusion of a romance with Jennifer, teased earlier in the season, provided a fresh new dynamic, what we got here just wasn't really that engaging or particularly funny. The return to Deep Space Nine also presented a golden opportunity to do something with Mariner's character, given her traumatic memory of losing friends on the station, explored back in Season 1's Cupid's Errant Arrow. This flashback seems to have been completely forgotten, not only by the writers, but also, quite bizarrely, by some working in Trek media, and also Memory Alpha, which states this episode is the first return to DS9 since that show's finale, which is just untrue. Is this oversight intentional, perhaps as part of the show hyping its inclusion of Deep Space Nine to drive up viewership, or is the nostalgic haze more severe than originally believed? I'm beginning to sound like the Dominion conspiracy guy over here. I have no doubt most will love this episode for its crowd-pleasing return to Deep Space Nine, a love letter to one of Trek's greatest accomplishments. Forever in the shadow of Kirk, Spock and Picard, Deep Space Nine deserves all the attention and love, and its inclusion here is another example of the incredible amount of content Lower Decks has to play with. But as I've mentioned before, I need more than just affectionate references and knowledge. Lower Decks is more than just a victory lap for Star Trek. It's a worthy installment in its own right. A show that, if you strip away all that has come before it, has real potential with its own characters and mythology. And what we got here, as pleasing as it looked on the surface, failed to properly serve that potential. I'm giving Here All, Trust Nothing, 3 stars out of 5. But what did you think of this episode? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Star Trek content like this coming soon. Until next time, I'm the TrekLad. Live long and prosper.